You ever have one of those days where it feels like the universe is playing a practical joke just to see how much you can take before you snap? Yeah, that was my Tuesday. It started off so simple. Just me stepping out for a quick joyride in my pride and joy. This cherry red Mustang that honestly looked too clean for our dusty little street. I mean, the sun hit that paint job just right, and I swear I caught more than one neighbor peeking out behind their curtains, probably jealous, probably rolling their eyes. I parked right out front, windows down, stereo off. Just 5 minutes, I told myself. 5 minutes, what could go wrong? Let me tell you, that Mustang wasn't just a car that day. It was a ticking time bomb, and I had no clue. It all kicked off when I spotted him. This scrawny kid, hoodie pulled tight, skateboard hanging from his backpack, skulking around like he was casing the place for a Netflix heist series. Now, this wasn't just any random kid. No, this was Mrs. Whitaker's boy. The same Mrs. Whitaker who runs our HOA like some kind of boot camp. The one folks around here whisper about, calling her Karen, behind her back, but never to her face. Her son? Most people hadn't seen him up close in years. He was a ghost with a bad reputation. I'd only met him once at a block party, barely said 2 words, but somehow everybody knew he was trouble. So there I am, thinking he'll just walk on by. Nope. In a move so fast it felt scripted, he yanks open my driver's side door, jumps right in, and before I can even get my brain to process what's happening, the engine fires up. My Mustang, roaring like a dragon waking up from a nap, tires screeching, and just like that, it's gone. My stomach dropped through the floor. I'm talking cartoon character, legs spinning, heart in my throat, chasing after that car like a maniac, waving my arms and yelling, "Hey, that's my car." But the Mustang didn't stop. Not for me. Not for anybody. It tore off down the street, this streak of red, with me standing there like an idiot, holding my breath, clutching my phone. And here's where you'll laugh. My first instinct? Call the cops. Not calm, not collected, but desperate. I'm tripping over my words, giving them my address, trying to explain that some neighborhood kid just stole my car and probably doesn't even have a license. And then bam, I heard it. This ungodly crunch of metal on metal. I felt it in my bones before I saw anything. My Mustang had crashed into a police cruiser, of all things, right in front of the precinct. You can't make this stuff up. By the time I got there, the cops were already on him, yanking him out, his hoodie falling back to reveal this dazed, guilty face. The scene was chaos. Neighbors out, phones recording. Me frozen, still trying to wrap my head around the fact that my Tuesday morning was now a public spectacle. But the real mess? That was just beginning. Insurance calls, furious neighbors, cops giving me the 3rd degree, and Mrs. Whitaker herself striding up, arms crossed like she was about to fire the opening shot of World War III. But before we get into all that, let me back up a second and give you some context on how we got here. See, a few weeks before all this, I started noticing Whitaker's son hanging around a little too close for comfort. He'd skate by my driveway, pretending to tie his shoes or just slow rolling past, always glancing at my Mustang. I figured he was just a car fan, right? I mean, who isn't, when the car looks that good? But there was this nagging voice in the back of my mind, whispering, "Watch out for that one." Did I listen? Of course not. I chalked it up to paranoia and went on with my life. So, fast forward to the day of the great Mustang heist. It's early, the light is perfect, the car's washed and gleaming, and like a genius, I leave the keys in the ignition. I was running inside for 5 minutes, just 5. Turns out, 5 minutes is all it takes for a teenage adrenaline junkie to make the dumbest, most thrilling decision of his life. And my life, for that matter. Now, this wasn't his first brush with trouble. Folks had stories, egged houses, graffiti, skateboards wrecking flower beds. But a car? That was new. And for him, I guess it was irresistible. The way he slid up to my Mustang, hoodie tight, eyes darting, testing the door handle, was like something out of a movie. And then, bam, he's in. Foot on the gas, engine howling, and I'm left standing in the dust. The wildest part? He wasn't just driving. He was putting on a show, swerving, punching the gas, probably laughing to himself. Not a clue in the world about what could go wrong. Then, the turn. Too sharp, brakes screaming, and just like that, my car slams into the side of a police cruiser. Metal twisting, glass everywhere, my Mustang, my pride and joy, reduced to a cautionary tale. As the cops dragged him out, the neighbors crowded in, everyone snapping photos and whispering. Mrs. Whitaker, who must have sprinted from her kitchen at the first sign of sirens, fixed me with this look, like she was deciding if I was the villain or just collateral damage in her perfect HOA utopia. She didn't have to say a word. Her face said it all. Look what your carelessness did. I just nodded and tried to keep it together while the police did their thing. Statements, forms, lectures about leaving keys in cars. One cop shook his head and muttered, "Teenagers, huh?" I almost shot back. Try living next to his mother, but I bit my tongue. There's a time for jokes, and that wasn't it. By the time I made it back home, the Mustang was at the body shop, the street was crawling with gossip, and my phone was blowing up with neighbors wanting the scoop. Some blamed me for being careless, others thought the kid needed military school, and the rest just wanted to know how much it would cost to fix the car. The worst part? I was smack in the middle of this storm, trying to keep my cool while everyone else was fanning the flames. And then came the insurance circus. They call me up, real serious, telling me it's a collision, but since a minor did it, the Whitaker's policy might cover it. Might being the key word. Suddenly, I'm dealing with paperwork, phone calls, and more headaches than a tax audit. Meanwhile, Mrs. Whitaker is showing up at the repair shop, arms folded, giving me this speech about responsibility and setting boundaries, like I needed the lesson. You ever notice how the people who preach about rules the most are usually the first ones to break them when it's their own kid? That was her. Righteous, indignant, and just a little bit desperate. I kept my cool, nodded at the right times, and just prayed it would all blow over before the next HOA meeting turned into a courtroom drama. And here's where it gets wild. A couple days later, the Mustang is back, patched up, but never quite the same, and word gets around that the Whitaker kid's facing charges, probation, community service, the works. You'd think that would be the end of it, but nope. The neighborhood's still buzzing, people still whispering about the incident, and every time I see Mrs. Whitaker, she looks at me like she's still deciding who's to blame. But you know what? There's a lesson here, somewhere between the dented fender and the bruised ego. Lock your doors, sure. Don't leave your keys in the car, obviously. But more than that, be ready for the curveballs life throws at you, especially when you live next door to an HOA president and her teenage son with a taste for chaos. Now, every time I see a kid in a hoodie skate by my driveway, I get this little twitch, double-check the locks, and maybe, just maybe, crack a smile. Because you can't make this stuff up, and sometimes the wildest rides are the ones you never see coming. So here's my question for you. What would you have done if this happened to your car? Would you chase after it, call the cops, or just let the HOA handle it and watch the fireworks? Drop your story down in the comments. I need to know who's braver, me or the kid who thought my Mustang was his ticket to glory. And hey, if you want more true stories like this, wild and messy and a little bit cathartic, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share your own take on justice. Because around here, you never know what's coming next.